Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Alrighty, it is now 5:01 p.m. and I will call the meeting to order. The first order of business is approval of the September 3rd, 2025 Personnel Committee meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Alrighty, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Just us. Approved. I don't think we have anybody else online or anyone there for public appearances, right?
Correct.
Okay, so then we will jump into agenda item 4A, adding the classification of finance specialist / procurement budget.
All right, so we are really excited to bring to you a job description here for a finance specialist. This is going to specialize in procurement and budget, and this will be in the finance department, but we're actually going to be housing this position up in Public Works. This position will be designed to support all city departments with everything from planning, sourcing, acquisition, and contract management of goods, services, and equipment. This is the first kind of position that we have like this for the city. This is something that was supported in the Baker-Tilly study a few years ago. So we're going to be taking a vacant code enforcement inspector position and reducing the number of hours for a planning intern and using that to fund the position. So the creation of this new position is coming to the Personnel Committee today for approval, and then the council will see a budget amendment come through so that we can actually fill the position. We would start working on recruiting for this position in December. So really excited for this new position. I do have Misty here if there's any questions about the new position, and it is in the same pay grade as the finance accountant, and it is exempt from overtime. And then in there, I attached the recommendation from the consultant company that put it into the pay grade and did a fee labor standards review to see if it'd be exempt or not exempt.
Cool. Alder Maldonado, any questions from you?
Yeah, it looks good. Thanks for putting this together. I know there's been some creative budgeting in light of the referendum not passing. So are we going to list salary, or do we typically do that on job descriptions?
Yeah, we always list salary on when we post the position. So yeah, I don't have I can bring up the pay plan, but I don't have the starting and max with me right now. But yeah, we're always very transparent on all of our job postings when we post. So that'll be on the job description and the posting.
I appreciate that. That's my pet peeve when employers don't list salary, right? So I'm glad we do that. I don't have any other questions.
All righty. Well, then I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
And it's just two of us, so we can just like have the motion, right? And then it passes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So then we'll go to item B then, the update of the update to one classification title?
Yeah, so this position is the Community Media Services Manager. This is Jeremy Crosby's position. If you recall in the Baker-Tilly study, they also recommended a Communications Director position. With the failed referendum, we're unable to add another full-time position that would just be a Communications Director. So we're looking at our current positions, and Jeremy, much of what he does is communications. So in collaboration with Jeremy and also looking at the pay for communication managers in the area, his salary is actually right there with what neighboring municipalities are paying for a communications manager. So there's only a job title change today. And then we're going to be updating his job description, but no resulting pay increase. And like I mentioned, Jeremy's been part of this process. He has the skill set to lead communications like he has been. FACTv will move to a communications title for their department, and they'll still be taping all of our meetings. That won't change. It's just that we're going to be adding some additional communication responsibilities, things like the writing and development of surveys, newsletters, informational brochures, helping us with a public communication strategy. So everything is tracked in the job description. So looking today to see if you would approve a job title change for Jeremy's position to a communications manager.
Good. Alderman Maldonado, any questions you want to throw out there?
So just from my understanding, Sarah, this is codifying kind of what he's already doing. We're just like putting it into writing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there are some things, that will be a little bit newer for him, helping us with the public communication strategy and, helping us with maybe a city newsletter. So there are other things listed in here, but we'll be working closely with him and helping him succeed in this role. So it's all things that he's equipped to do.
Okay. I know he's keeping about the same salary. Is his workload, I know that's hard to answer, but is workload on the whole increasing, or is he kind of taking stuff off his plate to add other things?
We'll have to reduce some of the, I'm sorry, if you're going to answer. I think that maybe there might be some reduction, whether it's, sessions on Talking Fitchburg or some event coverage of community events, but I can't speak to what those exact things would be. But of course, there's going to be a little bit of a give and take because you can't continue to do everything he's doing and take on some of these new things, but it'll be something we'll work closely with him on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Alderman, this is Chad, and Adam and I have been in some conversations over the last several weeks, in fact, with Jeremy and also Lisa Sanford, since she also helps considerably with communications and outreach, to talk about these changes moving forward. And as Sarah mentioned, in light of the failed referendum, it certainly forced us to take a look at what our current operational priorities are and trying to accomplish those as best we can with the resources that we have. So we do feel that this makes a lot of sense. As Sarah's pointed out, Jeremy is doing a fair amount of the work already that we're hoping to see out of this position. We do know that, to Sarah's point, we'll have to reprioritize some of the things that FACTv is currently doing, but certainly we'll prioritize for the FACTv portion, continuing to televise the city meetings and make sure that those are all publicly available. That is definitely a service that needs to continue, among some other things that they're doing, but certainly looking at what the Common Council would like to see from communications and having somebody that's has their role dedicated to help with those sorts of things, a forthcoming communications plan that we're working on that would help us better centralize our communications and ensure that we're using a unified strategy for citywide communications as well. So lots more to come on this, but this was an important first step in transitioning our FACTv department into a communications department and beginning to implement some changes in priorities as it relates to how we communicate with our community.
Right.
Well, if there's no more commentary, then we'll entertain a motion for approval for this classification title update.
Move to approve.
All righty. Item 4C, the employee handbook updates.
Absolutely. So up on the screen here, we're hoping to make a couple of updates to our policies. Sick leave payout is for those, we talk about employees who have accumulated the max sick leave. So this would be a 15-year employee who hasn't used any of their sick time. They may have maxed out at 1,440 hours. What the city has for a policy is that if you get to the maximum of sick leave, we will pay out, what we're hoping to do is pay out on an annual basis. In the first paycheck of December, half of the value of any sick leave hours past 1440. So right now, the policy says that we'll put it into your deferred comp or sabbatical, but what we would like to do is just pay it out to the employee. They can still put it into their deferred comp if they'd like to. They would just fill out a form, but they have the full flexibility to do whatever they want with their sick leave payout. So again, this really applies more or less to long-term employees who've been with the city for 15 years or more, and non-represented employees. Our represented police and fire employees, the sick leave payout policy does not apply to them, but the second policy that I'm going to talk about does. So any questions about that first part? So basically, we just want to be able to give them the flexibility to have that money rather than saying it's just going to go into your deferred comp or your sabbatical bank.
Gotcha. And then, are they like taxed and all of that stuff on these funds, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, with any payout, you're going to have some tax on that. Employees can always change their withholding if they know they're going to have a higher check coming, so that's always a possibility. So they can try to avoid that, but yes, they will be taxed on it. There's no way around that.
Okay.
And then the second part is about sick leave at retirement, disability, or death. So I've met with retirees in the past who have said, I have, quite a bit of sick leave. I want my whole sick leave. Why are you limiting me to $25,000 per year? And so it's always nice when we hear from employees and they want to see policy updates to be able to look at that and see if we can actually make those changes. So we would like to be able to pay out someone's sick leave bank in total when they retire. So I did talk to Misty. We made sure that financially we can do this. There is no concern whatsoever. We do assign fund balances and we set aside this sick time. So it's not something that we wouldn't be able to meet if, for example, we had 4 retirees and we had to pay out all their sick time. This is something that we already budget for. So it's really wonderful because it's going to, again, give that employee their full sick leave bank instead of maxing it out at $25,000 annually. Now we have some retirees who prefer to have the sick time on the books for years and get, like an annual payment or monthly payment. But so those retirees will not be forced to make any changes. We're just hoping for any retirees starting in December that we can be able to pay out that full amount of sick time.
Gotcha. Alderman, any questions or anything from you for these items?
No, I don't have any questions.
All righty, then I'll entertain a motion or a motion for approval of employee handbook updates.
Move to approve.
Thank you. And then item 4D, we will go to resolution R-172-25, request to amend the administrator employment agreement.
And I'm going to ask, I didn't include the travel and training policy updates, so my apologies. I just talked about sick time, but we have a couple more employee handbook updates that I need to run by you. The next one is travel and training. My apologies. For travel and training, for any employee that has to go to a training, this would be like a webinar or conference in state. The finance department is saying you no longer need to do a travel and training form. So this is a good change. This is one where we asked department heads, what are things that are really taking up your time and employees? And one of the things was travel and training forms. And so we looked at, could we eliminate the requirement of a T&T form for in-state travel and or if they don't need reimbursement. And finance said that would be, that can work just fine. So a department head can still at their discretion ask an employee to fill out a travel and training form before they go to a training in Wisconsin, but if they're not getting reimbursement or if they're not going out of state, it's no longer a requirement. So this is just meant to speed up and just be more efficient. And then we also, and then we also highlighted that all meals are reimbursed, so you can't use your P cards. We just wanted to make that clear that when you do travel, we'll reimburse you when you return. You can't use your P card for meals. And then lastly, on that part, we go off of the IRS rate for how much you're reimbursed for meals based on where you are. So we're just, in the past, we used the Madison rate if it was in-state travel. Now we're just gonna use the IRS guide, which will match it up to wherever they went in Wisconsin. So if it's more or less than the Madison rate, we just wanna make sure it's in line with the IRS guide, the General Services Admin Reimbursement Rate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do we need to reapprove these things or?
No, I mean, I can just keep on going, and then if there's anything that I touch on that you're like, ooh, I don't agree with that update, just let me know. The next one is the paid parental leave policy in the handbook, and so we're moving from 2 to 3 weeks. So that was a benefit that Mayor put in her budget, and this would be effective January 1, and this would be for all employees. So really excited to see an increase to that. And so you'll see the track changes. And then the next policy change is on duress alarms. So we have an alarm in various locations of City Hall that if you just pull it, it will go to the dispatch center and alert them of an emergency. So we have one in the chambers, in the mayor's office. We have one here in Jeannie Ceiling. We needed to update our employee handbook to remove anything that had police telecommunicator in there, because if you recall, we no longer have police telecommunicators. And so when we went through here, we realized, oh wow, we talk about a whole process with our telecommunicators. So what we're hoping to do is just clean up the duress alarms policy and take out anything in here where this is kind of subject to change. Right now we're looking at maybe having any duress alarms go to the 911, the Dane County 911 Center, or a sergeant on call, or a sergeant's cell phone. So we're kind of working through what the process is right now for duress alarms. So we'd like to update our policy to make sure that we take out anything that's not current. And then we did do a audit of all of the duress alarms and found that the one in the chief's office wasn't working, and we actually aren't looking to replace that, so we're just looking to remove that one. But in case you're wondering, these are all the locations of the duress alarms. Yeah, so that is.
And are these like kind of like silent alarms or something, like to notify? So like.
Exactly. So
Okay.
like here has one underneath. Yeah, so maybe I shouldn't be saying exactly where they are, but you can see it on the list here. So you just hit it and then it's silent, and then an alarm and a light goes on downstairs, and then after hours, ideally a phone call would be made to whoever has the phone. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Anything further on those, or do we need to go back and redo the motion to include those last items?
Yeah, you can do that if you like.
Okay. So then, I don't know if I have to retract my initial motion around approval of the employee handbook updates, but if so, then I guess I'll do that first, and then go to enter another motion of approval for the employee handbook updates that encompassed all of the items that Sarah just outlined that we didn't approve in the first motion.
Do I need to do that since you're the chair?
I don't know. I don't know that one. I've never done one of these kind of like motions.
Yeah, we're learning on the fly here. I'll do it just to be safe. Move to retract the previous motion.
Okay. And then do I just second?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's weird doing this with only two people.
Right. And then I guess entertain, since that motion was retracted, entertain a new motion to approve the employee handbook updates that were not subject to the previous one that didn't encompass all of the updates that we just previously heard.
Move to approve.
Thank you. And then is that good, Sarah? We good to go to 4D?
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So 4D. Resolution R-172-25, a request to amend the administrator employment agreement.
All right, so there's two employees here at the city that have employment agreements. That's our city administrator and our city attorney. What that means is basically they have an agreement that goes over their terms of employment, scope of duties. There's a number of things about pay and benefits. And so what we're looking to do today is to amend the city administrator employment agreement. And so I put together a little presentation for you on this. Bear with me as I get it to go to the next. There we go. All right, so our city administrator was hired back in 2021. We haven't looked at his employment agreement in several years. One of the things that we're kind of stuck on is our mayor has discretion to give pay increases above a 2% merit for our city attorney, the way the language is in the employment contract or employment agreement, but we do not have that same flexibility for the city administrator contract. So basically the mayor can give higher than a 2% merit increase for Valerie, but cannot give a higher than a 2% merit increase for Chad. If you look at current city administrator pay for Chad, it's $174,000. And if you look at some of our neighbors, ones that are even much smaller in population, you can see that they're paying quite a bit more. City of Sun Prairie is one we frequently compare ourselves to when we're looking at comparables, when we're going through union negotiations. And if Chad were to leave, we would have to recruit at a much higher rate than what he is currently being paid at. So I just really want to point that out. So that's kind of what has also made this a priority. Chad has been due for a merit increase since January of this year. So we haven't processed any merit increase with the hopes that we could bring this amendment forward and then the mayor would have some discretion. So to go on to the next slide here, what the proposed contract language amendment would be is that the mayor has the ability to give a merit percentage that's either equal to or greater than the pay for performance guidelines for all non-represented staff. And I can get into what that is on the next page. There is a cap. So currently right now in Chad's contract, there's a 10% cap. We're looking to increase that to 15. And again, I will explain a little bit more of what that means. So all non-represented employees are on a merit-based system. So they can get up to a 2% merit increase based on how high they score on their evaluation. So someone with a 4 or higher is getting a 2% merit increase. What we're looking to do is give the mayor that enhanced flexibility or greater authority to give something beyond a 2% for the city administrator if he is performing well. This would be capped at 15% above the highest city pay plan rate. So if you look at our pay plan and our highest pay grade, you would look at the maximum, and 15% above that is what would be the max that the mayor would be able to give. Now, this does not mean that we're looking to give a 15% pay increase to the city administrator. So I'll explain that here in a second. Really, the key change here is that our current language limits the mayor to only give a 2% merit increase every year to our city administrator, but does not have that same limit for our city attorney. So we are really just looking to have some ability to provide that discretion so that the mayor can give higher than a 2% pay increase. So you might be asking yourself, does this mean that the mayor can give a 15% increase each year? No. So all merit increases have to be budgeted through our standard budget process. We would never budget for someone to have a 15% pay increase for a single year. The 15% figure represents a cumulative ceiling above the highest pay plan rate and is not an annual increase amount. So I just really want to emphasize that. And why the increase from 10 to 15? It comes down to, we want to make sure that we can ensure competitive market here for our city administrator. And we have a compression policy right now that already requires that our city administrator is paid 7.5% above the highest paid subordinate. So already they're coming in at starting rates higher because of the compression policy, but now they're stuck at just getting a 2% increase every year. So we want to be able to provide more meaningful merit increases. So just to give you a little snapshot here, this is Chad's current rate of pay and currently overdue for a merit increase that should have been received in January of 2025, just this year. With the proposed amendment, if you're wondering what is 15% above the highest city pay plan rate, that's $96.77 per hour. So that gives the mayor some flexibility. It doesn't mean the mayor is going to make his pay $96.77, because again, we have to budget for increases, and we would never budget for a 15% pay increase for a single year. The pay plan, the highest available pay rate on the pay plan this year is $84.15. 10% above that is under our current policy, the max that Chad can get is only up to $85.32 this year. If we can make this change, he's no longer capped at $85.32 or 2%. We have more flexibility and can offer anything up to the $96.77. So again, it's being able to give the mayor that discretion and flexibility to give a merit increase based on how well that the administrator is performing. And this matches then our city attorney's employment agreement.
Understood. Yeah, Joe, I don't know about our city administrator. What you think?
He left the room.
Oh, he left?
Yes.
Oh,
He
man.
felt uncomfortable being in the room for this one, so.
Yeah, we can't talk about Chad while he's there. My question is, first off, Nye wants to show you her pizza, so. I know it's hard to see with the glare.
Yummy.
So I'm wondering how we kind of gotten to this point where we're kind of way less competitive than other municipalities. Have we always been a little bit below the curve, or?
No, I think what has got us here is the fact that he's been maxed at that 2% for the last, over 4 years now. So I think with this change, we can finally get him up, because like I said, if he leaves, we can't post it at the pay that he's making right now. We wouldn't get the qualified candidates that we need. So I think that's the biggest thing, is we just haven't had merit increases that can truly reflect what the market's paying right now for that position.
Got it. I'm all good. Anything else, Alder Maldonado?
I don't have any questions. I'm fine with this.
Hold on. So I will entertain the motion to approve resolution R-172-25.
Move to approve.
Alrighty. And then any further announcements? Sarah, do you know have we scheduled our next meeting yet?
I think it's in January. It's always going to be that second Wednesday of the month. So I will find out, and then I can put that in the minutes. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that handy right now.
Okay, sounds good. And then, before we adjourn, just tell Chad when he comes back in, we said a whole bunch of bad things about him. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
All right, take care. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. You too.